The podcast you are listening to of Holmberg's Morning Sickness is brought to you by my friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Trust me on this one. You've had barbecue before, but you haven't had it this good. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale, ericsfamilybbq.com.
When was the last time you had really good Texas-style barbecue? Eric's Family Barbecue, the way it's supposed to taste. Always delicious, never rushed, and prepared to perfection. Eric's Family Barbecue uses only 100% fresh meat, slowly smoked over mesquite wood until it's juicy and delicious. We all know their brisket is the best, but have you tried their pulled pork ribs, or rib tips? Amazing, and their sides are all house-made. Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Make the trip. You won't be sorry. Go to ericsfamilybbq.com for more information.
Holmberg's Morning Sickness.
Good morning, everybody. Hello there. Welcome to 545. My name is John Holmberg. There's Brady Bogan, Brett Vesley, Big Dick Toledo. This is the Morning Sickness, and it is absolutely stunning outside. Once again, we live in paradise. I will not stop saying it. I will remind you of this on a regular basis so people always realize you start your day in a better place than everywhere else. You know what we don't have, Brady? You know what we've never had? A bomb cyclone.
Have we ever had the,
no.
What's the river?
Atmospheric river?
Yeah.
No, we don't. We're a desert.
We just have mudslides.
We have hot. We don't even have mudslides. When was the last Phoenix mudslide we had?
In the 90s. Or, we're on the air.
Damn it, I feel left out.
It was that lady's house in Paradise Valley.
Oh, that was a singular thing.
But that's called a mudslide, right?
Yeah, no. A mudslide's when a whole mountainside moves down. That's some lady doing her irrigation had bad roots. That's all that was. I had a mudslide in my house in California once. I was living on the side of a mountain.
We just have flash flooding.
I didn't know I was supposed to be water in that part of the mountain. I thought that was nature. The rain came for a month. California, people don't realize, like in January and February, it rains like 3 weeks in a row almost every year. And it poured rain all over. And I'm looking at the back wall just start to crumble in. Like, what's going on there? That wall's moving. Then I started to see the hillside slide down. Well, it's because I wasn't watering the ice plant. The roots keep the dirt down. And we don't have mudslides. That's just a jackass house owner. And the news got on it. A real mudslide, you'll know. It's like a river of mud moving through a city. We don't have it. We're perfect. This is perfect. You can't even see, Brady, you're trying to put a wet blanket on this beautiful thing, saying we have mudslides. Don't scare the people. We have nothing.
Run for your lives.
We have nothing. You know what our worst problem is? A haboob, and it's just like a big dust ball in the air. Big whoop. Occasionally get some rain. Every place gets
Grapple,
rain. Yeah,
whatever it's called.
The snow that doesn't touch the ground. We named it after Mexican dick. I think it's called verga.
Verga?
Yeah, there's verga in the air. I'm like, Jesus, Mexican dicks all over? Well, you know, it just rained at the ground. I'm like, I don't know. That's probably should change the name of that. Either way, it's perfect out there, and we live in it, and so we need to acknowledge it. And every morning you wake up, no matter how crappy you feel, just realize you're in one of the best places on the planet. You're in a place people leave their stupid cities and come here and go, I'm living here. And then they kind of start to ruin it. And that's called Apache Junction. But other than that, that's different. That's if you're waking up in Apache Junction, the weather can't fix anything. Gila Bend also looking at you. Maryvale to a certain extent.
I try to look past them.
Right. We ignore them because that's what makes this city great. There's plenty of places to see that you can ignore them.
They're called pockets.
That's right. The pockets. That's exactly it. I've been reading this Chappelle story. I love what's going on. He did a special again, not like for Netflix yet, but he did some stand-up, and he was basically saying, by the way, and it's finally happening that we have strong voices saying what the majority of people are thinking and not kind of bowing down to the go. And also giving a massive company a little foundation like Netflix to say, all right, we don't have to bow down to these pressures. Ted Sarandos, the leader of Netflix, and Chappelle's basically saying, everybody in the gay community's reached out to me that I know and said, you're totally fine. Nobody's even mad about this. And he goes, so I don't even know what this nonsense is about. I don't know. Then he said, but you can sit back and I'll chat with the people that are mad at me at Netflix. And he said, they keep saying they want the best line. They want a safe work environment. They keep complaining they don't have a safe work environment. And he goes, I work there. I'm not even allowed in the doors anymore. He goes, so I guess they only want it for themselves. It was phenomenal.
I have conditions.
Perfectly put. And he's got his conditions, which is basically to sit down at a place and time of my choosing. You're not going to summon me. I'm not going to bow to your demands. And third, you have to admit that trans comedian that's out there isn't funny. And that was it. hilarious, but it's great. It's good. And, like Ricky Gervais always stood up to this process. And the cancel culture thing it's funny because I was talking to a friend of mine yesterday. I'm like, he's like, I don't know how you're doing this. I'm like, what? Oh, you guys you're the only ones left. And I'm like, isn't that a good thing? Isn't it good that this show is still, it's not that we're so brave. We're just kind of like, I just don't think that we have offended people to the point of being, where they're staking their lives or anything like that. And I also don't think we're attempting to be offensive. There's a difference between...
And we're not hiding necessarily.
Well, no,
it's open discussion.
It's open discussions, but it's the way people actually speak. I think that's the authenticity of this stupid thing. But I think there's a different... I've always been... Brady's known this. I've always been bothered when people say shock jock. And I don't think Howard Stern was not guilty of that at first because he came on and wanted people to he blew things up on purpose.
He was pushing
and he was being shocking.
The limits.
People like Dave Pratt thought they were shocking. They weren't. It wasn't authentic. It came out in the wash. There were other guys that they did things to say and do things that were out of character to be shocking. And I've always been kind of bothered by that. So this is just more I think authentic. We talk like this to each other worse.
Oh, yeah.
Off the air and stuff like that. And everybody knows it's a safe place that we're not really trying to hurt anyone's feelings or we're really being malicious or anything else. Someday that might change. Someday we could be sitting here and somebody's like, nope, I'm going after him. And come get me. I think that's the other thing. Maybe there is kind of an unafraid thing because I'm not really ashamed of anything I've done. I think the people that cave to this cancer culture are kind of ashamed of the things they've done. If I've done something wrong, I'll gladly apologize to you.
Yeah.
And hope for your forgiveness. I will gladly to an individual, but to a mob, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to bow to a mob of people that say that I've offended an entire race or an entire group because I haven't. It's impossible to do, by the way. As individuals, it is impossible for me, or Brady, mostly Brady, or Brett, who can do it actually, to offend an entire race. It's impossible to do. Completely and utterly impossible. I could gather every Puerto Rican human being on the planet and tell a Puerto Rican joke. That is offensive. And half of them would like it and half of them wouldn't. You are, as an individual, you are incapable of offending an entire group of people. And the faster we recognize that, the faster this whole thing shuts down. But it's great to see Chappelle stepping up. I love that Ricky Gervais has always been big middle finger to his own thing. And that's the dangerous part about when they become independently wealthy. Is because they don't have to answer to anybody. I forgot who it was Charles Barkley or somebody like that.
To the point where he cancel? Okay, fine.
Yeah, I don't remember what basketball player it was, but he basically said, you can fine me all you want. I'm loaded. You're not going to shut me up.
Yeah.
And it was, and by the way, you've given me all the money. So the very same people are like, fine, that's great. But now I have been smart with it. I've got more money than you'll ever know what to do with. Fine me. $20,000. That's great. I'm not shutting up. And it's fantastic. I love it. But the Chappelle stuff,
the biggest part for Dave, also Chappelle, is there's nothing there. It's completely misinterpreted by the...
Well, that was one of his demands.
His point of saying in his whole discussion is, look, things in the past, sure. I mean, I could say, he apologized if you took offense to that. But right now, the point that they have, there's no platform on it.
Well, they're trying to say that you can't even bring them up in a joking fashion. Don't talk about it. If you're not one of us, you can't do it.
And they're completely missing. I mean, you watch the special.
That's what that was one of his demands was, if you haven't seen my special,
you
can't come.
Yeah.
You can't be part of it.
Brilliant part. The thing I'm shocked about and happy about is Netflix isn't backing down either.
Yeah, no, that's great.
I figured they were going to be first up, throwing their hands in here. All right.
We have to be worried. These are our employees. There's lawsuits. There's everything else. And it's like, nah, it's great. I think it's fantastic. So I do. I think it's the first strong pillar back to the normalcy of kind of like everybody being able to handle words they don't like a little better without throwing. But everybody's it's such a gotcha society. Floyd Mayweather, who nobody likes as a person because he's kind of hard to like. He's made it. I mean, as a boxer and as a fan of boxing, I think of him as a boxer as arguably the best defensive fighter that's ever lived. Some of his fights were really boring because he made the other guy look like he was swinging at ghosts. It was unbelievable what this man accomplished trapped in a cage with another person.
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Now we got Shakur Stevenson.
But he's such a weirdo as a person. Shakur is a 3 compared to. Don't even bring Shakur up as far as in the same breath as Floyd. But as a person, he's been kind of a douchebag, and he played the black hat role on purpose. He did it to sell tickets, and he did it well. But people can't tell that. They don't understand the entertainment angle. So he was at a Clippers game the other night. I don't know if you saw this. And somebody was asking him for a picture. And it was I think it was a trans person. If I'm wrong, don't hang me for it. But I think it was, or someone in the community. And went over and tried to get Floyd to get a picture. And Floyd, for whatever reason, didn't want to take a picture. And if you've ever been in a situation where people want your picture, there is a time where you're like, no, I don't want this. And I know it on a scale of like 0.0001%. I can't imagine what it's like for Floyd Mayweather to try to be in public. So he said no, and the guy had painted fingernails. And the story said that Floyd turned him down because he had painted fingernails. Now, he might have mentioned, you get your fingernails painted? Because it's probably nothing Floyd's, but he doesn't care. And Floyd, I think Floyd has like I don't know if he's got a lesbian daughter or something like that, but he's not like against gay people. He's probably said terrible things that they'd be offended by past and present. Maybe he is, but it wasn't because of that. And he has to now defend himself to say, no, that's not why I didn't want to take a picture with the guys, because he had painted fingernails. TMZ ran the story. It was on the news last night. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. And you know what? In your brain, so what? So maybe he doesn't want to take a picture with somebody with painted fingernails. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe he doesn't like guys with painted fingernails. Guess what? It doesn't affect you.
Right.
It does not. Unless you want to go crazy, it doesn't affect you at all. If I had painted, I'm wearing a Spice Girls shirt today. If I said to Floyd Mayweather, hey, can I get a picture with you? I'm not taking a picture with a man in a Spice Girls shirt. I'm like, is this because I'm gay? Maybe. And then he walks away, and guess what? The worst thing that happened that day is Floyd revealed himself as someone who doesn't like me or the Spice Girls. It's a tragedy. He's probably nailed 3 of them.
That's why Paul McCartney
Nothing
announced
happened.
today, no more pictures and no more autographs.
Did he?
Yeah.
At a certain
He's like,
point.
I'm just done with it.
He's done it enough.
Yeah.
I
Done it
can't.
for 80 years. Or,
You had
whatever.
the best story when Randy Johnson and you went to McDonald's. And Randy told me this again when we were at that comedy show a couple years ago. When I said, tell me the thing about going to McDonald's. Brady told me a story when you two were at McDonald's where Randy got out, and it was like the Nutcracker. There was nobody, and then all of a sudden there's like 60 people
Out of the blue.
Out of the blue. They weren't even. It was in Yuma, right?
No, we were in Ontario, California.
Oh, in California, that's right. And anyway, Randy gets out, and everybody starts bugging. Can't go in and get a simple burger. And he comes back and says, I'm 6'10". I look a very specific way. Yeah. And it gave me everything I've got. But I would give anything to just be a normal person for a day.
Take a foot off.
Just take a foot off of this thing
Told
and
this
let me
old
walk
guy
around.
who's Jack Sikma because the guy didn't know who he was. But you're tall. You got to be somebody.
You're something. To well-built black people like my friend Winston, I've never seen anything like it. Winston, I've been with him twice when people thought he was Larry Fitzgerald. And then this is because Winston's a big dude. Yeah. But he's not like, sorry, Win. He's not like in football shape right now. Like when we were posing for, we were joking around about posing for, because he looks enough like Deontay Wilder and I look enough like Tyson Fury to go, thick midget Deontay Wilder and AG Tyson Fury are going to have at it, and we'll just do posters. And he goes, "Let's get it done." And I started laughing. He knows that he's not the build of Larry Fitzgerald. He's a big dude. But then they thought he was Darnell Dockett in the same breath, and I'm like, that's not even like a remotely similar looking human being. And he goes, "I know, I get it all the time." And I'm like, that's got to be brutal. Having dreadlocks, being and looking athletic. I'm like, people have to ask you for your autograph. I would sign autographs like nobody's business. People thought I was Rick Helling once. And I stood outside a bus at a spring training game and signed baseballs for kids. It was phenomenal. I don't even know Rick Helling was in the league for more than 5 years.
I don't think so.
Like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Rick Helling. And they're like, okay. Jay Buhner, I've gotten that one. At Mariners games where he was playing.
Man.
I was in the stands. And I thought the guy was kidding. He goes, "Hey, Bones, you not playing today?" All right, how you doing? Next thing you know, he's over there, "Hey, can I get your autograph, man?" And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. He's right there. The real one is right there. And I was in a suite at the ball game once at the Bob Park, whatever they call that thing now. Arizona Federal Theater. Is that what it is?
That too.
Yeah.
It's down at the Diamondbacks game at the Arizona Federal Theater, Footprint Theater. And somebody whispered, "Dude, that's Jay Buhner." And I'm like, no, it's not. And I'm laughing at my friend Bobby from Vegas. He goes, these people think you're Jay Buhner. And I'm like, I heard him. And he goes, let's play with it. And I'm like, it's going to bother them. And then one guy's just staring. And I'm like, Jay Buhner's like big. I'm AZ Jay Buhner.
When the Super Bowl was in town
Crazy.
years ago, and Magic Johnson had his party at Jets and Sticks.
God, I hope they think you were Magic Johnson.
Oh,
Please finish this story.
Oh,
Or
it was.
Barkley.
The guy introduced me. Was like, who?
Barkley.
No, I said, who's this guy? My buddy was over there because he was a football player.
Yeah.
And they invited us into the party, and then the people are like, oh, who are you with? Ron Say. Hey, big fan of the Dodgers.
The Penguin.
The Penguin.
But nobody's ever going to. But this is the thing. No one's ever going to say Ron Say looks different. Like no, because I would know you're not Ron Say.
Right.
But in all honesty, if
You have
someone
no
introduced
idea.
you as Ron Say, it'd be like something happened to Ron Say.
Yeah, so thank you, Penguin. It was a fun night.
Because I knew he was short.
Come on.
I also knew him when I was a boy.
Yeah.
So now I'm grown up. I'm like, am I this big compared to Ron, the great Ron Say? I knew the Penguin was little, but I might have fallen for that as an adult. Like, I think that might actually be Ron Say. He must have had a kidney removed, but on some medicine or something.
I was a Penguin for the night.
Who do people tell you look like? You get the Andy Garcia thing.
I get Garcia, especially when I comb my hair, and then I get Brian O'Halloran on Dante from Clerks.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I get
the
that one all the
That's
time,
right,
too.
Yeah. But that is sometimes a remarkable similarity, except for he's big and fat now. Last time I saw him, he let it go. Kind of like the way Ron Say went.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I would buy that if I didn't know you and somebody said, "This, remember Clerks, this is Dante." I'd be like, no, really?
Yeah,
I would buy that.
I got that a couple times, and some dude like kept arguing with me that I was. And I'm like, dude, I'm not.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
You and
finally,
Shannon
it's like, all right,
together?
fine.
Yeah. Forget it. But this is us playing. Now it's in your real life.
Right.
And you are Ron Say. And that's probably dwindled. Ron's probably at McDonald's fairly frequently. Or Dante took off or the career went nuts. Or you are. And it would drive you nuts
Well,
how people act around.
and when you talk about Randy Johnson or even Mayweather, the minute you take that photo, the minute you stop, it's over.
Everybody else comes.
Yep.
Even for me. And I'm nothing. I've been in a place where this is the weirdest part of it. And again, I always place this as like very low-level local celebrity, just below local newscaster. Like there's Brandon Lee, there's like Kristen Sinema, and then there's radio guys, right?
Yeah.
Like Mark Curtis is like, they're definitely people. For whatever reason, you want a picture with a guy that tells you about fires and dead babies. I don't get it, but take a picture. What do you do with it later? No idea. I was at a restaurant once with my friend Jeff, and somebody said, "Can I get a picture?" I'm like, sure, because fine, no big deal. So I get a picture with this guy. Somebody else came over to the table and said, "Who are you?"
Right.
I'm like,
Which is-
huh?
You
They're
feel
like, who are you?
stupid.
Camera out. I'm getting one too, even though I have no clue who this person is. And I'm like, what do you mean? Who am I? Well, that guy wanted a picture with, who are you? What do you do? And I'm like, oh, no, I was, there was a big crime.
Maybe my kid will know you.
And Jeff ruined it because I was going to tell this person. I was in a high-profile crime in Texas. My wife died, and I was going to go down this big road, and then I got away with. I mean, I got off, and it was all good. And so he's from the same town. I was going to go down that road, and Jeff goes, "He's on the radio. His name's John Holmberg. You ever heard of him?" No. But the guy stood there for like a minute, like still debating in his head, do I get a picture with this person? Other people want one. So the sheep start rolling in, and you start to realize how influencers work. Is because, this is a must thing.
Yep.
It's
To the
crazy.
next level. It's like,
So
imagine that walking out. 6'11" is tough walking out just to begin with. People are like, oh, you got to be
Oh
something.
yeah.
again, it's the power of celebrity is weird. So, but yes, Floyd Mayweather is allowed to say no to you. He's allowed to be a jerk. That's not against the law, and you're allowed to tell on him. But at the same time, who does it affect if he said, "I don't want to take a picture with your fingernails, creep me out"? I think you're weird. You're weird, and maybe the dude with the painted fingernails was a weirdo. Like, it's always the celebrity's fault. How many times have you met somebody that's just a flat-out weirdo?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't want anything to do with this person. Like, I don't want you to photograph me. I'm done with no.
Let alone the stories that celebrities have had experiences before with weirdos.
With weirdos. Weirdos are more common than you'd want to admit. Anybody who needs a picture of you at the Clippers game up front says, "I'm a weirdo." There's Brady, as Ron say. I can see it, Brady. Of course, he's been through chemo and a massive buffet. I could see the Penguin putting on a few in retirement and becoming that.
This looks like it's an older shot here. Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, no, there's not. You'd have to shave his head, but I can see
hair. I mean.
Again, I was younger too.
Sure.
So
you had a little more puff on the top.
Maybe if I had the Dodgers hat on, no, I still don't see it. But the guy said it, was like, "Oh, cool."
Yeah, nobody's going to question that.
Yeah.
Ron say. Yeah, I mean, and it never falls back on the person. It's the thing Aaron Rodgers did at the Bears game a few weeks ago when he basically told that lady in the front row, "I own you." After she's flipping him off and screaming horrible things, it's like, oh, classless Aaron Rodgers. I'm like, there's got to be a time when the people have to realize I'm a bit of an oddball, and my social cues are very bad. And Floyd Mayweather called me out. And we always say, "Oh, Floyd's an asshole. He should take pictures." Good Lord, remember my Dave Kingman story when I was 8 years old?
Yeah.
The man flipped me off at a baseball game, an 8-year-old boy. Can you imagine the TMZ world today with Dave? I was being wildly annoying. He was probably right. He would do and the odd part is, as much as that stung, having my hero Dave Kingman flip me off at Three River Stadium in Pittsburgh, well, I screamed his name constantly from 8 feet away, top of my 8-year-old lungs. I would do the same thing to a kid today. As much as it scarred me, it didn't teach me the lesson. Remember, John, if some little kid really wants to meet you and he's annoying, be nice to him because it hurts you. But no, Dave did exactly what I did. I can't take this kid's shrill anymore. Go F yourself and get away from him, not signing a thing. And it was 100. He was 100% right.
Harry Carey had it figured out at the end. It was hilarious because he would go out there spring training where, you can get up to him and he'd be up there and he would sign a couple of things.
Yeah.
And then Harry would go, "I'm done."
Yeah. Well, because Harry.
And he had his buddy with him.
Yep.
I can't remember his name, but he was like, "That's it, folks."
That's the glory of being a character.
Yeah.
It's because Harry could get away with it and people laugh. When you're Floyd Mayweather and your character is bad guy, you slip on bad guy for a second and it's real. They can't tell. The idiots can't differentiate. There's too many idiots out there. You watch it. If anything, influencing and this social media nonsense has proven to me that we are the sheep. TikTok dancing is basically 1984 where Big Brother says everybody do the monkey. And you start doing the dance. And everybody does the exact same thing for approval from a group. It's the influencers are like, "Oh, everybody's doing this. I'm doing it too."
That
and it's
certain
blending.
dance, yeah, that's funny.
It's all blending. You're not doing the dance together. But on TikTok, you're like, if this is popular, I must do the exact same dance the same way everyone else. There's nothing unique about you when you do that. You're actually really boring, but people don't see that. So it becomes, and it's mind blowing how dumb people are. And when you see that kind of stuff, it's like, oh, now I've got this outlet called social media that I can yell that Floyd Mayweather mistreated me. And bottom line, we don't know what you did to him, and no one knows who you are, so no one's going to ask.
Yeah.
But maybe you were a dick to Floyd Mayweather to the point where he's like, "Get your painted fingernails away from me. I don't want anything to do with you." And that's what people will write about. And it's garbage. And luckily we have some people standing up to it to a point now where, like in this stupid little show, who knows what happens in the future with this crazy. But I think it's the fact that I know I'm not doing anything wrong, so I'm not afraid. I know I'm not attacking anybody. And I'm logical, which just left the building. I have logic that basically says, you think I offended an entire race? Let me just say one thing to you. How's that possible? Explain to me how it's possible.
Yeah.
Explain to me how I have people from the thing you said I offended telling me it was funny. Explain it to me that the whole group's, well, they're, and then they'll abandon them. They'll start saying they
don't understand.
You don't fall into this homogenized way of thinking, this simple black and white thinking, this which is moronic, by the way. It makes you kind of stupid. If you fall into the I either think this or I either think this, and there's no middle and no nuance and anything else, you're 5. You're a child. Or you're on the spectrum. That's what kids do.
Or in our government.
Or you're running politics, which is exactly right. Which we keep blaming politicians, but we've kind of ruined that in our own way to say if you have any nuance at all, we're going to call you a pussy. So they try to avoid it, but they're just dumb people. You're right. It's politics. They're in the mix. But the majority of people are normal. The majority of people walk outside, unlike Brady, and say, this is a beautiful thing. Brady's still waiting for that atmospheric river to hit Phoenix.
It'll be amazing.
I told Brady this. I saw an article this morning that said polls say majority of Americans concerned about climate. And well, that all depends on how you bring the question to me. If like I'm taking a poll, I'd just like to know, are you concerned about the climate at all? Do you care about the climate?
Yeah.
Of course about the climate. Sure. Okay. And if that's the only
Thank
question,
you.
you're going to get a 90% return. I don't know who goes, no, I hate the climate. Oh, I hate it, so I want to ruin it. Nobody.
Majority concerned about the climate and would pay exorbitant amount of money.
Right. Ask that
to help
next
that.
question.
Yeah.
Would you see your taxes jump to 70% to maybe help the climate out? No. I'm not giving up all my money for the climate. I like it, but I'll spend a little extra if you've got a plan.
That would be interesting for the scientists, even behind it, on saying, yes, we're affecting the climate. Would you be willing to give up 70% of your salary to help? I don't think that's going to help.
This is the reason why.
Because man's getting involved to try to...
This is the reason I hate that Greta Thunberg so much.
Yeah.
She's got nothing to lose. You ask all those hippies in the 60s.
She's making her money on losing.
Look. Right. When she gets a pile of it, she's going to go, well, maybe I shouldn't spend so much on climate. She's going to start to stockpile. All those hippies in the 60s became the 80s business people. They went from their, nobody needs money, bro, into this weird business, me first attitude of the 80s. That was the same group of people. Ben and Jerry were hippies, and they turned into like this
Follow
massive,
the dead.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They were like, man, I'll never, ever need the corporate dollar, man. The 80s became the corporate dollar. That's all it was. So, Gerda, once you get a job and people start trying to take your money rather than your allowance, I want to punch her square in the nose. Never listen to anybody under the age of 18. There's a reason why we have a cutoff for when they can make decisions. I want to hear from you. Sure, the mouths of babes thing is adorable, but shut up till you're at least old enough to do something. And maybe she will be an activist that changes some things. Good on her. Got to wait till you got some life experience under your belt. But yeah, it's crazy. That's why I don't like that Greta Thunberg. I like the climate. You can do both. I think we're filthy animals. We're pigs. We ruin everything. But she ain't going to fix it. And the only reason she's getting the traction she's gotten is because she's 16. Or was. I don't know. She's like 20 now. Awful little human being. You don't like it, get off. That's what I say. It's 6:11. Let's get a wake-up song for this crusty old miserable place. Damn it, I started off so strong with how beautiful it is outside. And all we got is the climate today. It's gorgeous outside. Oh, what a day to take a walk. Skip first hour of work and just hoof it. Just hoof around, walk around. It's perfect. I've seen you. You guys all could use a mile or two. You've got that bunt cake going over the top of your pants. You're not at 35s anywhere. You're 38. You know you're a 38, and you keep squeezing those 36s on thinking someday, but it's going the other way. Scott Haynes said, and I've met Scott, he said, I got laid once, and it's almost embarrassing because somebody thought I was Tom York from Radiohead. That's horrible. It got you laid, but then you had to really go assess yourself afterwards. That dude constantly looks like he just walked out of a bar fight and lost. Anyway, let's get a wake-up song. It's 585-9800. That's the number. You fire it up, and we get it going, and we'll scream it together. It's 98 KUPD. Wake up!
Big, red, and badass.
It's the natural way radio should be.
98 KUPD.
You've been listening to Holmberg's Morning Sickness Podcast, brought to you by our friends at Eric's Family Barbecue in Avondale. Meet, mesquite, repeat. Eric'sFamilyBBQ.com.